And now, let's crack this egg!
So these two are the same guy, Ivan Ooze, and the picture on the right is just him in a disguise. But did you notice that he came out of an egg? Just like Stitch, who was playing Satan, he came out of an egg. So let's go to the book, The Element Encyclopedia of Secret Signs and Symbols, by Adele Nosdar, page 72. The egg is as powerful in its symbolism as it is potent as a life force. The world egg is a ubiquitous symbol for the egg from which the universe is said to have hatched, and an idea that appears in creation myths from all parts of the world. The egg is a symbol of new life, and this idea is born out with chocolate eggs at Easter, which in itself is a celebration of the pre-Christian fertility goddess Eostre, who also gives her name to the hormone estrogen. The subsequent celebration of Christ's death and resurrection meant the egg kept its significance as a symbol of new life and hope. Archaeologists have found clay eggs in Russian burial sites, reinforcing the belief in the egg as a symbol of immortality and of rebirth. In alchemy, the philosopher's egg symbolizes a seed of spiritual life and depicts the place wherein a great transformation takes place. So in short, the egg symbolizes new life, a great transformation, and rebirth. So what is going to be rebirth? Page 81. Biblically, the empire of the Antichrist will not be a new empire. Rather, it will be the revival of a previously great empire that will have suffered what the Bible calls a fatal head wound. But the wound will be healed, and the empire will be revived from the dead, as it were. And the beast, Antichrist's empire, which I saw was like a leopard, and his feet were like those of a bear, and his mouth was like the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power, and his throne, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads, as if it had been slain, and the fatal wound was healed, and the whole earth was amazed, and followed after the beast. This empire is the Islamic Ottoman Empire, which replaced the Roman Empire after the fall of its remaining eastern section, and was one of the world's greatest empires. Page 113. Annuit Septis means he has approved our undertakings, meaning Satan the star has approved of something, but what? The Bible says the dragon, Satan, gives his power and seat and great authority to the beast empire, the new order of ages empire. This is what Satan approves of, but which empire has Satan's blessing? That secret lies in the word Septis, which has two conjoined letters, OE, which stands for none other than the Ottoman Empire, the Empire of Islam. This is why the egg is being utilized in this scene, because it's representing the new life, great transformation, and the rebirth that will be established by the hand of the Islamic Ottoman Empire. Page 62. One is that the founder of the Ottoman Empire, Osman, had a dream in which the Crescent Moon was stretched across the earth. Because of this, he kept the existing moon goddess symbol and made it the emblem of his empire. This is why she's holding the Crescent Moon, because Islam is going to take over the world. That's why Osman had the dream that the Crescent Moon stretched across the earth. So remember, the egg represents new life, rebirth, and a great transformation. So where's this great transformation coming from? Islam. Page 81. Today, we already hear Muslims loudly grieving over the head wound of the caliphate in a recent promotional video for, I don't know his name, an Islamic group whose goal is to restore the caliphate. The 3rd of March, 1924, the world was plunged into darkness. The Khalifa, whose light spread from east to west from over 1,000 years, was brought to an end. The consequences were unimaginable: death, destruction, chaos, exploitation. After 80 years of absence of the Khalifa, the Muslim world has awakened from its slumber, and the Ummah, the community of all the world's Muslims, is ready to resume its political destiny. From the darkness will emerge a new light. Did you catch that? After 80 years of absence of the Khalifa, the Muslim world has awakened from its slumber. Throughout the world today, just as the mythological phoenix rose from its ashes, Islam is arising from the ashes of its past in order to claim its place as the most dominant world power. Islamists over the world are now seeking to return to the triumphant days when Muslims ruled the Middle East and non-Muslims were subservient. Islam was wounded and nearly killed, but now it's attempting to resurrect itself. Is it any wonder that in so many Muslim demonstrations you can see the same message? Al-Maljaroon, demonstrating in England, set their main speaker to shout that the world will soon recognize that Islam is the truth, and the giant of Islam shall rise again. Why rise again? Why use the word again? It was 2,000 years ago the Bible predicted that the empire of the Antichrist would suffer precisely what we see in the wounded and rising empire of Islam. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads, as if it was wounded to death.
Now! Kill the beast while it's wounded!
And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
Who now has the strength to stand against the armies of Isengard and Mordor?
What he just said is literally a carbon copy of Revelations 13 and 4. Who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him? Who now has the strength to stand against the armies of Isengard and Mordor? And we know that the beast empire is going to emerge from Islam, as Walid Shubat's book says in God's War on Terror. And Islamic prophecy speaks about the army of Muslims carrying black banners.
Isengard has been unleashed.
With the creed of Islam written across them, there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. The black banner has always been a banner of jihad.
This night, the land will be stained with the blood of Rohan. March to Helm's Deep. Leave none alive. To war!
In this tradition, the Muslims are marching from Iran and heading to Israel to take Jerusalem for their Mahdi. After Muslims have conquered Jerusalem, the Mahdi is said to use the Temple Mount as a seat of authority from which he will rule over the whole earth. Now let us examine the significance and the purpose of the crystal ball. Page 66. Combine this fierce perfection and totality with the clarity and brilliance of crystal. The crystal ball is a part of the toolkit of the professional clairvoyant or seer. The clarity of the crystal matches the clear sight of the psychic. When used for scrying, the crystal ball acts as a focus for meditation, enabling the adept to access a place that is out of time in order to be able to see into the future. So if the objective of the crystal ball is to see into the future, why is it displaying the present? Because they're covertly demonstrating that this is your impending future. This is why they copied Revelations 13:4, because it's a prophecy that hasn't been fulfilled yet, but they're showing you the fulfillment through this movie. So this is a movie that chronicles Riddick. Now bear in mind, this is the same guy that took the head wound, just like the scripture says the beast empire will take a head wound. That's why the woman said,
Kill the beast while it's wounded!
Because he's representing the beast empire. And how we know this beast empire is in truth an Islamic empire is because he's literally wearing the Arabic word Allah on his left shoulder, hidden in plain sight. And another dead giveaway that this movie is referencing the Islamic beast empire is the name of the city they're in. New Mecca. New Mecca. Why would you call it New Mecca? Well, there's two reasons. It's to authenticate the notion that this movie is alluding to Islam. Second reason is Saudi Arabia is Mystery Babylon, which in the Bible is prophesied to be destroyed by fire, and Mecca is in Saudi Arabia, so when it's destroyed, they're going to need a new Mecca. That's why in X-Men Apocalypse released all the nukes, while simultaneously Havoc was destroying Cerebro, because Apocalypse managed to hack into the mind of Professor X, and while destroying Cerebro, Havoc left this depiction on the wall that looks remarkably similar to the Red Sea. Page 395. The harlot must be connected to Arabia, not Rome or New York or any other nation or city. In Isaiah 21:9, Isaiah levels a prophetic oracle against Babylon. Babylon is fallen. It's the same announcement used in Revelations 18:1-2. Yet this prophecy is not ultimately about ancient Babylon, Iraq, but the mystery Babylon of Revelation. Ancient Babylon was simply a type of last days Babylon. The names in this prophecy are all areas in Arabia. The burden against Dumah, Isaiah 21 verse 11. The burden against Arabia, verse 13. All the glories of Kedar will fail, verse 16. Dumah and Kedar are in Arabia as the text shows. All the glory of Kedar will fail, verse 16. All the locations mentioned in Isaiah 21 are in the desert of Arabia, the regions of Revelation 17, which is surrounded by many waters, seas. Arabia, in fact, is referred to by all Muslims as Al Jazeera, al-Arabia, literally the Arab island or Arab peninsula, or the desert of the sea. Even National Geographic and Bernard Lewis recognize it as such. Speaking of the destruction of Mystery Babylon, we read, "No Arab will pitch his tent there, no shepherd will rest his flocks there." Isaiah 13:20. This cannot be attributed to Rome as some teach. Arabs never pitched their tent there. The ultimate fulfillment of this verse is the destruction of the last days Babylon. We know this because the passage speaks about the day of the Lord, verse 9, with the heavens not given light, verse 10. This is not historical but end time related. Jeremiah tells us they'll be in the Red Sea. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall. At the cry of the noise was heard in the Red Sea. Is Rome, literal Babylon, or America situated on the Red Sea? The Red Sea is a geographic indicator as to where the last days Babylon will be located. Look at Mecca on any map and you'll see that it sits near the Red Sea. Some may object that Jeremiah 49 is speaking about Edom, which was primarily located in modern-day Jordan. Yet in Ezekiel 25, Edom stretches from Teman, Yemen to Dedan, Saudi Arabia, verse 13. Greater Edom included all the west coast of the Arabian Peninsula. While some insist that some of the biblical descriptions of the last days harlot may bear some similarities to Rome, New York, or America when read by Western minds, the point is that all of the biblical descriptions must be met, not just a few. Whatever solution to this puzzle one ultimately accepts, it must be both reasonable and it must conform to all the relevant scriptures. Does Rome, the United States, or New York City sit in a literal desert? If not, then these entities cannot be a fulfillment of the biblical prophecies, yet Saudi Arabia fulfills the description exactly. Revelation chapter 18:8. Therefore shall a plague come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. That's why in X-Men Apocalypse the nukes were released, and at the same time Havoc was destroying Cerebro, and while he destroyed it, it looked exactly like the Red Sea, because this is the burden upon the desert of the sea. Revelation chapter 8 verse 1 and 2. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and a hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So in the show Smallville, it's going to demonstrate that the Phantom Zone is actually Mystery Babylon, Arabia, and it's inhabited with devils and foul spirits. So we just saw the foul spirits attacking Clark Kent, and this lady coming out of nowhere, dressed in traditional Arab clothing, comes and saves him. And now in this scene, they're both wearing Arab clothing. Why are they wearing those type of clothes? Because they're in Arabia, but after it's destroyed by nuclear fire. So in another episode, this lady was also in a Phantom Zone, but she didn't know that Clark was Superman yet, so he just told her it was basically a dream. And guess what she called her own dream?
Did you see Tess yesterday?
Beats me. All I remember is touching that rock, having some Arabian Nights acid trip, Arabian Nights acid trip, Arabian Nights acid trip, and waking up very confused.
It was a pretty intense hallucination, even for you.
So she called her experience in the Phantom Zone an Arabian Nights acid trip. Why would she call it that? Because they were in Arabia, but after it was destroyed by fire as the Bible prophesies it would be. This is why Isaiah 30:20 says, It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation, neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, because this is in Arabia.